The storm had raged for 3 days straight across the barren plateaus of Arcturus. 9. Ethan Hale, a weather engineer and part-time explorer, sat in the dim light of his dome shelter, listening to the rhythmic howl of alien winds slam against the reinforced glass. Out here on the edge of colonized space, storms weren't just weather. They were alive, filled with static radiation and echoes of the strange planet's electromagnetic heart. He was used to it. Solitude had been Ethan's closest companion for the past decade. 10 years ago, he'd been part of the Atlas Colony Rescue Corps, helping retrieve stranded survey teams from alien terrain. He'd seen things then odd, beautiful, and terrifying. But one memory had never left him. The day he found her. It was supposed to be a routine sweep across the Meridian ravines. His sensors had picked up an unusual life signal. Faint, irregular, and not human. When he'd followed the trail, he'd discovered a small figure, about the size of a 6-year-old child, huddled in the cracked glass of a downed pod. Her skin shimmered faintly, pearlescent blue under the light, and her wide eyes, silver and reflective, darted toward him in terror. She had a small wound on her shoulder and was whispering something in a language the translator couldn't decode. He remembered lowering his weapon, whispering gently, "It's okay. You're safe now." He patched her up, wrapped her in a thermal blanket, and carried her through the acid winds back to the Atlas outpost. For 3 days, she stayed by his side, eating dehydrated fruit rations and drawing strange spiral patterns on the metal floor with her finger. She never spoke a word of Galactic common, but she'd smile when he looked at her, like she understood gratitude. Then one morning she was gone. A shuttle had been detected on the scanners during the night, unregistered and silent. She must have been retrieved by her people. He'd never seen her again. Till now. Part 1: The Return. Ethan was finishing diagnostics on the atmospheric stabilizer when his scanner began to beep, a sharp, rhythmic tone indicating an incoming vessel. No flights were scheduled for another week. He frowned, checking the console. The readings were odd. The craft wasn't broadcasting any registry or ID codes. It was sleek, fast, unlike any human-made shuttle he'd seen. Before he could transmit a hail signal, the ship was already landing 50 meters from his dome, kicking up a swirl of glowing dust and vapor. "Great," he muttered. "Unannounced visitors." The shuttle door opened and light spilled out, a pure golden hue that made the air shimmer. A figure stepped through it, tall and elegant, dressed in silver-white robes that seemed to move like liquid around her form. Her eyes caught the starlight. Silver, reflective, familiar. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. "No way." The woman smiled, and though years had passed, that smile was unmistakable. "Ethan Hale," she said, her voice melodic but slightly mechanical, as though his language was being translated in real time. "It has been one of your decades." He froze. You're her. The girl from the crash site." She nodded, walking toward him. The air seemed to pulse around her. "My name is Liara. When you found me, I was a lost child. Now I have returned because of you." Ethan stepped back slightly, confusion and awe tangled in his chest. "Returned? For what reason?" Her gaze softened. "To honor the vow of life debt. In my culture, one who saves a soul becomes bound to it. When I was rescued, my elders said I would know my path when the stars aligned again. And they have. I came to wed you." Ethan blinked. "Wed me." Liara tilted her head, silver hair catching the dim light. "It is not merely marriage. It is unity, bonding of essence. Your act of mercy made us kindred. I have come to fulfill what our law and my heart decrees." He laughed awkwardly. "You're serious?" I crossed 3 galaxies, she replied calmly. Do I seem frivolous? Her tone silenced him. Part 2. The Stranger and the Past. That night, the two sat across from each other in the small dome, a steaming kettle of mineral tea between them. Liara studied the human tools scattered about. Hydrospanners, atmospheric gauges, ration packs, as though they were ancient relics. You've been watching me? Ethan finally asked. Not watching, she said. Seeking. I was forbidden to contact you before maturity. Our people once feared humans. But the war between our species is over now. Peace treaties open the stars again. He exhaled slowly. And you came all this way to find me. Her luminous eyes flickered with what could only be affection. You carried me through poison storms. You bled for me. You risked your life for a being you didn't even understand. That kind of compassion is sacred in my world. I have thought of you every cycle since. Ethan rubbed his temples. Liara, I didn't save you expecting anything. You were a kid. I just did what anyone would have done. No, she said softly. Not anyone. Many humans turned away from our kind back then. You didn't. The storm outside roared louder, shaking the dome. Ethan stood and adjusted the stabilizer vents. You don't owe me anything. I do, she insisted. But not out of debt, out of choice. He turned, her words hanging in the air between them. Even if you really mean that, I'm not. I don't even know your customs, your people, your life. We're from different worlds. Liara rose, stepping closer. Then let me show you. Part 3, Through Alien Eyes. The next day, Liara took him aboard her ship. Its design defied logic. Walls curved like living tissue, corridors glowed with gentle bioluminescence, and the air smelled faintly of ozone and wildflowers. Every panel pulsed with a faint heartbeat, as if the vessel itself was alive. This is a symbiotic craft, she explained. It breathes, heals, and obeys through thought. It is attuned to me. Ethan ran his hand along the wall. It was warm. It's incredible. She guided him to a chamber that opened into a panorama of stars. A holographic projection shimmered before them, showing constellations shifting in patterns. These, she said, are the paths of my ancestors. They weave our destinies. It was written that I would meet my savior again beneath the trisolar alignment, the same configuration under which you rescued me. That alignment occurs once every 100 human years. It happened again 2 cycles ago. So that's why now, he asked. She nodded. Our seers called it the rejoining of threads. He smiled faintly. You talk like a poet. I have learned your art of words, she said with pride. Your literature helped me understand emotion, the missing code in my people's minds. Ethan studied her for a long moment. You really grew up different from how I imagined. Liara's eyes dimmed slightly. After my rescue, I was taken to the Solari Council. They said humans were violent, chaotic, too primitive. But I remembered your eyes, the way you looked at me not as a specimen but as a child. That image changed me. It changed my world. A long silence followed. Liara, he said quietly. What happens if I say no to this bonding? Her voice softened. Then I will honor your will and leave. But the bond, once awakened, does not die. Our lives will remain entangled across time and space. He looked out at the endless stars, his reflection merging with hers in the viewport. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. Part 4. The threat, the peace was short-lived. 3 days later, the storm sensors lit up again, but this time the readings were not weather. Multiple heat signatures, ships, descending fast. Liara's expression changed instantly. Those are not human. Ethan checked the radar. Who are they? Hunters, she said grimly. A rival sect of my people who reject the peace treaty. They tracked my vessel here. The alarms began to blare as plasma bursts rained down outside, shaking the ground. Ethan grabbed his pulse rifle. You brought a war to my doorstep. I'm sorry, she said, eyes glowing with defensive energy. They will not take me alive. They will not take us. Within moments, the dome shattered. Ethan and Liara dove for cover as alien warriors emerged, their armor sleek and black, their movements swift as wind. Liara raised her hand, releasing a burst of shimmering energy that threw one back. Ethan fired at another, the shot echoing through the storm. The fight was brutal. Ethan took a hit across his shoulder, stumbling to the ground. A warrior raised a blade to strike him, but Liara intercepted, taking the blow across her arm. Blue light poured from the wound. No! Ethan shouted, catching her as she fell. Her eyes met his. Now. You understand why our bond matters. Rage and fear ignited in him. He turned, using the weapon's last charge to blast the attackers back. The last of them fell, dissolving into the storm mist. Ethan dropped beside her. You're bleeding, I can patch it, she smiled weakly. My body will heal. But you have risked yourself again for me. He laughed bitterly, half in relief. Guess I have a bad habit. Part 5. The Bond hours later, as dawn broke over the Scarlet Plains, the two sat outside the wrecked dome, the battle over. Liara had used her ship's biogel to seal Ethan's wound, and he'd wrapped her arm with a makeshift sling. She looked at the rising sun. My people will come soon. They will take me home. He nodded slowly. And I'll go back to being the hermit engineer again. She turned to him. Ethan, when I said I came to wed you, I did not mean to bind you against your will. But in my world, to bond is to share essence, memories, emotions. It is to never forget. He hesitated. And if I accepted? She stepped closer, her hand hovering near his chest. Then a part of me will live in you, and a part of you in me. Cross galaxies. Across time. Ethan looked into her eyes, the same silvery gaze he'd seen in that little girl years ago, full of innocence and trust. You said our lives are already entangled, he whispered. Maybe they always were. He placed his hand over hers. A surge of light enveloped them both, soft, brilliant, like the merging of two stars. In that instant, he saw flashes of her memories. Her childhood under crystalline skies, the pain of exile, the longing that had brought her here. And she saw his loneliness, his years of silence, his quiet grief and strength. When the light faded, she was smiling through tears. It is done. Epilogue. The Song of Two Worlds. Liara's people came days later, peaceful envoys who helped repair the damage and take her home. Before she left, she stood by Ethan's dome once more. Our paths may part, she said, but our spirits remain one. When you look to the trisolar stars, you will feel me there. Ethan managed a smile. I'll be watching. She pressed her palm to his chest once more, then turned, boarding her ship. As the vessel lifted into the sky, the golden light washed over the barren plains, scattering the dust like glowing embers. When it vanished into the clouds, Ethan felt a faint warmth pulsing inside him. Not pain, not sorrow, but connection. Quiet, living bond. He looked up at the alien sunrise, the storm finally broken, and whispered into the wind. Safe travels, Liara. From somewhere beyond the stars, a voice answered in his mind, gentle and sure. And love beyond distance, Ethan Hale.